Right, so it's Mr. Dosser back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about the downfall of BMW. What on earth is going on at that place? Because if you know me, I like my cars and something's not right with this company. So what's going on? Before we get into it, could you please like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think and let's get into it. BMW. It's a well-known German car company. It stands for Bavarian Motor Works. They're well known for several cars such as the BMW M5, the M3, the 5 Series, 3 Series, 1 Series and a plethora of other cars that they've made. Now, back in the early 2000s there was a designer called Chris Bangle, and that was known as the Bangle era of BMWs. So you had the 5 Series, the E60, E61 and you had the E65 7 Series. Quite a controversial design for its time. And usually the design language of BMWs were quite conservative. They were evolutionary rather than revolutionary. However, that era of 5 Series was revolutionary. And at the time, he got a lot of stick. However, nowadays, we look back at it and we think, actually, maybe we were a bit mean towards him. However, I feel like with the new design language that BMW have now, with the big, massive, what they call kidney grille, it's just this humongous grille that they just put onto SUVs and estate cars and even coupes and even your hatchbacks. I think is beyond reasonable. And really it started off with the BMW X7 and the 7 Series. Now, let's start with the X7. Have you actually seen one on the road? I haven't seen one on the road. I completely forgot this car actually existed. It was only because I was perusing on the BMW website I saw there was such a thing called an X7. I forgot it actually existed. I haven't seen one on the road. I've actually seen more Lamborghini Uruses than I've seen X7s. And I've only seen 1 or 2 Uruses on the road. So that tells you the story of it. These cars are far too expensive, but that's another story in itself, and that'll be another video. So, I understand that BMW have to move the times. You can't just stick to what you normally do. You have to move, you have to advance, progress. And I understand that the Asian market is very appealing. They need to capture that market, and they have different preferences to the Western or European market, or even the American market. Now, in Asian countries, such as China, such as Thailand, etc., they have a preference for extra legroom. Hence why you can get the BMW 5 Series long wheelbase, the Audi A4 long wheelbase, and the C-Class long wheelbase, and so on and so forth. There's a real emphasis on that legroom, and they also like a lot of chrome. Whereas here in the UK, there's a general preference to things being blacked out and dechroming things. I'm not a massive fan of dechroming everything and everything blacked out. I'm not a massive fan of black wheels, for example. However, there's a preference to make everything nice and shiny and chrome-like in certain Asian countries. Now, the thing that made BMW stand out was their driving characteristic. The way the car drove, the whole motto of the ultimate driving machine. And even if they were to still carry on with this design language and say, look, we need to appeal to the Asian market, I wouldn't mind as long as they kept that driving characteristic. Because if you drove a 3 Series from late 90s, early 2000s, even mid 2000s, even probably up to 2010, 2012, everyone said they were amazing driving cars. They just drove nicely. And it's a real shame because the newer 3 Series, the new 1 Series, they've lost that. They really have lost that. For example, the previous generation 1 Series was rear-wheel drive. The new one's front-wheel drive. The M135i, that's all-wheel drive. And again, with the engines, the M135i and the M140i in the previous generation, that was a 6-cylinder turbo engine. Now it's a 4-pot, it's a 4-cylinder. And I feel like it's losing its steering feel, it's losing its characteristic and its engine. That was the main reason for buying an M140i. If you wanted a small, premium hot hatch, you got an M140i or M135i. Nowadays, I can't really see the reason to get one, if I'm honest. Because looks-wise, it doesn't look that distinctive. It has a horrible grille, it looks rather generic from the side profile, and the rear's a bit meh. And then its rivals like the Golf GTI, the Golf R, A35, Audi S3. I think the Audi S3 is a much more appealing proposition, to be honest. And whilst traditionally BMW's had that steering feel, I don't feel the difference between them now is so distinct. So I feel like if you go for either one of those cars, you'll end up with a similar sort of package, just what you prefer. But anyway, I feel like BMW have dialed down their unique point. Their USP, their unique selling point is no longer there. And it's a shame because BMW have improved their interior, the latest generation. Don't get me wrong, it's not all bad news. The latest generation of cars, the interior is amazing. It's a real step up in terms of design language, in terms of quality. Now, personally, I don't like the dials, the actual design of the digital dash. However, the actual materials and the center console, seats, etc., they look sublime. They look really good, really crisp, really nice. However, it's a shame because the previous generation 3 Series and the one before that and the 1 Series as well, for the money, you didn't have the best of interiors. You did feel that the plastics were slightly cheap and they had used that same design language for quite some time. So it was time for an upgrade. However, it's a shame because the mechanical side they've made worse, effectively. But then the interior they've made better. It's a real shame. I wish they could do both, but they haven't. Now I understand it's not, don't get me wrong, the new BMWs, they're not Lexus quality, but really nothing is until you go towards the realms of Bentleys, Rolls Royces, etc. However, these new cars are very expensive. And I understand there's such thing as inflation. However, you can't get around the price. The price is the price. And ultimately, those prices will be reflected in the monthlies. Yes, I know nobody buys cars cash. It's all down to the monthlies, the PCPs, the leases. But you'll see the trend. 4 or 5 years ago, you could get a Golf R for £300 a month. You can't get that anymore. You'll struggle to get a Golf GTD, the diesel one, for £300 a month. You're probably looking at about £320, £350 a month. Things change. And the engine choices that they use, like I said, going from 6-cylinder to 4-cylinder, I think it's a real downgrade. And I understand there's E-regulations, there's other things they have to worry about, the environment, etc. And you might be saying, look, everyone's going electric, maybe BMW doing that as well. I would give them a pass if they were, but guess not. They're not really doing it. What electric offerings do they have? They have an X5 plug-in hybrid. They have the i3S. Well, the i3S isn't that good. The i8's been around for pretty much a decade nearly. I mean, what advancements have they actually made? There is no Tesla rival. And the same could be said with Mercedes, the same with Audi as well. I don't think they are up to speed with the electric side. So that's my take on it. And I also think with these new cars having all these fancy grills, and there's just, the design language is very fussy. There's lots of creases, lots of lines, it's not coherent. That's the word, it's not coherent. And as a result, I know for a fact, if you'd have any scratch dings involved in any sort of incident which requires body repair, it will cost you an arm and a leg to actually sort out. That's another issue. It's all nice and well, designers going out saying, put a crease here, line there, make it look distinctive. However, when it comes to day-to-day using it, if you need a repair, because guess what, cars do get dings and scratches from car parks, etc., and people park in multi-storey car parks. It's not like in the adverts where we drive in nice open roads which are as wide as 2 Range Rovers and you have 6-lane highways. We don't have that here in the UK and most of Europe. That's not the case. You have a lot of A roads, B roads, single track roads, maybe dual carriageways if you're lucky. That's what we drive on. And we park supermarkets, we need to go shopping, we need to get food. So I feel like BMW really messed this up and I really do hope they sort it out. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think BMW actually go moving forward? Do you think it's actually improvement? Do you think new 1 Series is better than the old one? Let me know what you think in the comments below and what you want to see next, and I'll see you next time.